consumers demand quality content. There is a lot of debate on the right revenue model for OTT, and this session will discuss that. We have Mr. Ambesh Tiwari, Business Head, Audio Studio, Pratilipi. Mr. Aamir Mulani, Founder and CEO, Playbox TV. Mr. Praveen Chaudhary, Director, Retention Engagement and Growth Strategy, DTC, Marketing, Warner Brothers Discovery, APAC. We've got Mr. Amit Dhanuka, Executive Vice President, Lionsgate. Mr. Nachiket Pantvaidya, ex-Group CEO, BalajTelefilms. Mr. Ajay, Chacko, co-founder, Arré. Mr. Nitin Burman, Vice President and Head, Non-Subscription Revenue, AHA. Welcome, sir. The session would be moderated by Mr. Pankaj Krishna, Founder and CEO, Chrome Data and Analytics and Media.
बोला मैं क्या छोड़ दूँ वो भी हरी शाह से पूछेगा क्या
Over to you, Mr. Pankaj. Thank you.
So, hi, good afternoon, gentlemen, only gentlemen, and good afternoon, everyone. Television conventionally, if you were to go back over the last decade, I think most of us here have moved from conventional linear TV to OTT. OTT or digital as an industry mostly comprises of professionals who were earlier part of the linear business to a great extent. To give you a context, an analogy of what the topic is about, SVOD or AVOD, if you were to look at television, TV content would mostly be free to air or pay. And that's how it currently runs. Free to air would mean that you don't charge for content. It is freely available to subscribers, which basically means that the reach is much higher. And if the reach is much higher, you tend to get a higher advertising revenue. Whereas if you are a pay TV, the subscription would limit the reach. As a result, you will get a lesser amount of advertising revenue. But the second would be a hybrid to a great extent because there will be no channel which was only free to air or only pay but no advertiser. So even if you are pay, you still had ads. Which is now a little different in the case of digital. If you are SVOD, you don't get exposed to ads to a great extent. So if you are an AVOD, you make a lot of money on the back of advertising revenue and you have a bigger reach. So one of the biggest platforms, as we move along, we'll share some data, would mostly be AVOD. But the shows that have fared really big over the last 1 year, the data that I can offhand remember, amongst the top 5 there is something criminal justice, which was again on an SVOD, but a major chunk of that viewership also came from piracy. So that's another concern, whether if you're SVOD, if you really monetize the entire thing. So I'll throw the house open to all the panelists in terms of what's a great model. As Ajay, you suggested, let's keep it at an industry level. Let's not get specific to individual players. I'll start only. At an industry level, what do you think is the way to go? From my understanding, customer acquisition is a killer in the OTT business. Right? The costs are huge. So, is it SVOD, AVOD, hybrid, freemium? What models work in your experience from Arré and more at an industry level?
Thanks, Pankaj. Actually, this question of business model is the bigger question, and revenue is therefore a function of that, right? So, if you look at what has happened in the last 7-8 years since the boom in OTT in India and the digital media scene overall, the business models have changed at least 2 or 3 times. It started with this whole SVOD, AVOD thing. Then people realized that, okay, fine, people like Jio came and bundled a larger offering, or Amazon came and bundled a larger offering, right? So if you were to look in the mirror and say, as a player at a cross section of the industry, what is the revenue model? They'll say, okay, it's advertising or subscription. Right? These are the kind of revenue models that always existed. But if you look at the business models, that's where the real disruption has happened. So if you look at who the person is and ask them, like if you ask a traditional broadcaster, what's his digital revenue or business model? That person will have a very different answer from somebody who's in the Google side of things or in the Meta side of things, right? Or somebody who's an influencer creator who's actually making money off Insta and TikTok or whatever, right? So I think these two ends somehow have managed to get their business model somewhat aligned, like the tech end and the individual creator, storyteller end, right? Talent still is valued, whether it's an individual or a one of a company like Dharma or Excel or whatever, or some of those high budget ones. There is still some value at both ends of the table, right? Where the big question of gap in revenue stroke business models is, I think, in the whole middle, which is India of the erstwhile broadcast era coming to digital, which is some of the homegrown players trying to go the AVOD route, MX, etc. So I think there's a huge churn there, and I don't think the question of business model has been answered in the case of this whole sector, which is actually very, very large. But from an impact and a revenue and a disruption point of view, this has been the most affected. So I think it's an open question. I actually don't have an answer whether this business model of the existing broadcasters and the new age digital players from India is the final landing place or not, right?
So MX is a good example. MX broadly, the numbers add up to almost 1,000 million downloads, which is a huge number, right? All free advertising supported content. But recently it went and it got sold out for lesser than the cost that it was created for, right? So numbers only don't really matter.
Yeah.
The business model is really something very complicated. I had a very interesting chat with, I'll move to you, Amir. The biggest B2B content aggregator, and what Aamir is managed to do is he's managed to duck the customer acquisition cost. So you want to explain a little again on the same revenue models, what work and how?
Hello everyone. What I really feel as India is getting OTTs, every 2 months there are 3 OTTs are getting launched, and everybody is fighting for the same consumer. But if you really see, everybody is filled with a platter. Everybody has a certain set of content requirements, and he has already won it. And then the bigger challenge is that trying to create your place in that plate, and in an ambition to that the consumer will pay for it by spending. So now I have also seen some players, OTT players, who are spending 2,000 rupees to acquire a 500 rupees customer. And this is broken. This is really broken. Like so Facebook ads, digital ads, YouTube ads are because the price of the content is so less that you cannot sustain on that model, and that is what we have seen over the earlier it was, but the more the players are increasing, the cost of digital advertising is also going up. So what we really feel, what we are differently doing at Playbox is that whenever I meet a content creator or a OTT platform, I only say that India has a already business model available. India has almost 130 million CTV connected homes in terms of cable TV homes who are paying 300 rupees, 400 rupees a month, and it shows that aggregation and bundling and giving consumer a buffet. Rather than you asking him, say that boss, you pay for a dish separately, you pay for this dish separately, because Indian mentality is very simple. Boss, I want to buy something where I will get everything, and that is what we are able to solve. So I feel when he says B2B, Playbox TV works with 600 ISPs, internet service providers. Any non-telco ISP is our customer, and these ISPs are connected to more than 60,000 cable operators. And these 60,000 cable operators are connected to almost 50 to 70 lakh homes in the country. So what we are doing different is that we are empowering those ISPs and teaching them how can you sell a OTT bundle, just bundling with your internet broadband.
Sorry to cut you. 50 to 70 lakhs is 5-7 million homes. So what about the rest out of 130 million? If you remove 3 days and you remove all of that, but isn't that a small number? Because
exactly, but those 130 million homes are still not exposed to internet. So when I see a free, this 5-7 million homes which we are talking about is other connected homes. This is the broadband is already available, which we have already trying to convert, which is the initial. But over the period of time, this 130 million will also come on broadband.
eventually all will move to broadband.
Obviously,
and
because
every single cable operator eventually will move to a ISP provider.
Exactly, because today broadband in India is only 20 million.
Yeah.
So I think that number will go up. So we are just trying to solve the same problem and following the same model which was already available for last 20 years.
That's right. Brilliant. So we've got Praveen from Discovery. So Praveen, what's your view? I personally am a viewer of the content you have, and it's the content I encourage my kids as well to watch, not only from the infotainment point of view, the new content that you're generating. There's a lot of India commercial content that we see on your platform. It seems to be great production. Is it financially viable? Are you getting the numbers for that kind of production?
Arré,
and it's all subscription driven, right?
Yeah, so I cannot comment on the P&L of our business, but actually we are quite convinced on the opportunity that we have there, and that's why we keep on making more and more of this. Yes, there are some short-term challenges that all, I guess, OTT players face, but I think things have improved quite dramatically in the last 2 to 3 years. There have been some industry-level improvements which have helped. As an example, I can tell you the very fact that pretty much every Indian now has UPI at their fingertips, so they can make the transactions much more easily. A father doesn't have to depend upon his son to make a purchase for him and call him up, beta mere liye, just purchase this thing for me. So that has obviously helped. Around 18 months ago or so, we had the e-mandate regulations that came in, which solved the problem of renewals on cards for us. We have UPI autopay, which has come in, which is solving the problem of renewals on UPI. So I think the industry is evolving for the better. People have stopped, looking at just very short-term metrics. We are looking at the lifetime value that a customer generates for us, and we already have reached a stage in which we can see the business model becoming profitable on an incremental basis. And therefore, we keep on continuing to invest in it, and we are seeing good results.
So, going back to the days of Discovery, linear Discovery, and I was part of National Geographic at that time. The reason why Discovery or Nat Geo kind of content broad-based itself, because it's sold on the back of a network in most cases. Discovery was mostly part of Sony, National Geographic was part of Star. National Geographic standalone as a pay channel would not stand its own ground. It would not sell, neither would Discovery. Right? What would sell at that time was only a Plus, Sony, or a Z. And they were the driver channels, they were called the flagship channels. Are we facing something very similar? I'll leave this open to all of you, so anyone can volunteer to answer this one. Are we going through a same phenomena now? Because if you were to look at the top content over the last 1 year, I'll name some shows. Most of them are from Disney Plus Hotstar and MX Player. So you've got Brahmastra at almost 82 million unique viewers. We've got Criminal Justice. I'm sure most of us would have seen Criminal Justice again. Hotstar at 70 million. Shiksha Mandal 39 million. House of Dragon, Dharavi Bank. So most mass content on big platforms. Disney Plus Hotstar and MX Player. So do the other platforms, Lionsgate, and the other platforms, do they stand that kind of opportunity to reach these kind of numbers? Open to you, Amit, all of you. So I'm saying all of you because I don't recall all the names. So let's carry on.
I think the first stab at it, definitely yes. To your point about the whole network thing, Discovery has been a standalone network for, we came out of MSMD quite a while ago. And
you came out of MSMD when Discovery was fully seeded.
Yeah. So there has been an evolution since then, and a lot has changed since then, and we are, doing very well for ourselves. Things are evolving. I don't think all of us need to be at the scale of MX Player or Disney Plus Hotstar to become successful. There's a place for everybody out there in the ecosystem. We were never at their scale, to be honest. Discovery and Star Plus are two completely different propositions, and both of them have their own place in the ecosystem. And the same thing is kind of repeating itself. I think the bigger challenge that we have to solve, that if the kind of content offering that we are giving, if people are moving away from that content offering, then we need to reinvent ourselves. But these things that you are seeing play out are The pipe is changing.
So
The customer choices are
don't
changing.
declare the P&L where you started from. You don't have to declare it, but for my own curiosity, having seen the production, distribution, customer acquisition cost, just answer me the yes or no. Is it profitable?
Yes, it is.
It is.
It is.
The content that you're creating, broad-based, all the Indian content that's being generated, the crime shows,
Yeah,
all of them?
absolutely.
Brilliant. Amit, I remember your name, so.
No, look, let's talk about the business model, because that's where we started, right? I think it's a little bit more nuanced. I think there is a hybrid model that's there in the market with VOD platforms. There's a freemium model, that's starting to evolve, and there's a subscription model that's there in the market. Within the subscription model, what started as direct-to-consumer relationships evolved into aggregation models, bundled models, because eventually you want to go where the customer is consuming content. If the customer has a relationship with a telco, I will go there. I will find benefits that work for both of us and co-create value. If there's a marketplace that is building out an aggregation model on OTT platforms, yes, it makes sense to go there because it brings down the stack. If there is an advertising model where you have a consistent flow of content and you're able to monetize, get good CPMs, build your MAUs, drive the top funnel, which will eventually also lead into your subscription business, yes, you should do that. But if you don't have that, then you stick to your subscription model and get that better, right? Whether it's through bundling, whether it's through aggregation, whether it's building, taking your stack down, all of these factors. There isn't one model that's just going to be there. And I agree with him on some level, right? The P&L of each OTT platform is different. Your content investment dictates how you want to build out your revenue and your subscriber growth. Not everyone is looking to build in, 100 million downloads or 200. Of course, you would want to, but then that requires a different scale of investment. And given the cost of capital, that's hard to come by for anyone.
Sorry, on the content acquisition, same thing. Whether you air the same content on a big platform or a small platform makes a huge difference. So Ajay, real estate, since you're in that platform, cost of construction per square feet 4,000 rupees. So if you construct it in East Delhi, where the land rate would be 10,000 per meter, or a Bandra at $1.5 lakh, the construction cost remains the same, right? But what makes a difference is the realization, right? So that's what I was trying to arrive at. How do you broad-base content in the numbers of the platform are not that huge? I'm not questioning Lionsgate or Discovery's numbers. Eventually they are growing, but then the same content. Okay, so the biggest show aired on National Geographic, example, the biggest show on National Geographic would be smaller than the smallest show on Plus. It was all a function of platform. In fact, the same content simulcast on 2 different platforms makes a huge difference. And same thing you see with IPL now. Simulcast on 11 channels, right? And Gold, which is not meant, which is primarily a Hindi movie channel, doing wonders for cricket.
The reach of those channels are different. Your reach of a general entertainment channel is far more than your reach of an infotainment channel.
Is that a right analogy for platforms as well?
Your reach of DD Direct today, which is not known, delivers you far more advertising.
45 million, huge in Swedish.
Numbers debatable, but yes, it's become a really formidable, model for people to pursue. So I think again coming back to who's your teacher? What's that audience size that you really want to go after? What is the content investment that you have? And who are the platforms that you can actually go and mine those consumers at? That's really the answer in the revenue model and the business model.
Nitin, okay, so that was a cue when you picked up the mics. I got the cue. What about regional? So you're planning to go some kind of Hindi content? A lot of Hindi content now, if you look at the Coffee with Karans, you see Hindi now going south. And a lot of south content is now actually bigger than a lot of Hindi content as well. What about you for your platform?
So in fact, I'll give you a...
Nachiket, I'll come to you next.
So when we started AHA, we also wanted to start for the entire South market. And when you look at all the national platforms, when they release any content for South, it's not Telugu, Tamil, Malayalam or Kannada. But when you actually deep dive, these are 4 different European countries in itself with the kind of population that they have. Telugu for us is 100 million user base. And from that, we've already have 30 million app downloads, 3 million paid subscribers on our app, which actually raised eyes on all big platforms that, oh my god, there is one small regional player who came from nowhere and is suddenly making, waves. You spoke about certain numbers of big shows. We've created shows like Unstoppable, which is one of our most successful talk shows and has got more than 100 million views on that. So that's the kind of numbers a small regional platform is able to make. Coming to the revenue model which we were talking, I think we started off as a subscription model. Everybody wants to do that, give a very good premium experience to the audience. And when we started off, our audience was the tier 1 audience who always knew what the OTT platforms are. So, going to them and with the loyalty of language that the South people have, it was easier for us to reach out to them. But sooner or later we realized that I think national platforms have their reach limited to these top tier cities, tier 1, tier 2. If we want to reach out to the rural audience of AP Telangana, we need to pivot from pure subscription based platform to a hybrid model, not differentiating with the pieces of content. So rather what we did was, we said if you're a premium customer, you want 4K, you want Dolby, you want everything on your connected TV, pay me a premium, watch it ad free. But if you're a rural customer who's sitting in some tier 3, tier 4 village of AP Telangana and still wants to watch the Unstoppable show, which is a premium show, let him pay at 99 rupees and watch ads. An Indian audience, I think, as you said, is a TV audience who is, somewhere or the other, is okay to watch ads in between. Now it depends how many number of ads you want to show it. So that also we've taken care of. Like, if you're paying certain set of subscription fee to us, you'll only watch one ad in the beginning, which is pre-rolls. You will not, the entire content will be ad free. If you are a monthly subscriber who's paying me and is coming only a month and watching a particular content, you watch 3 to 4 ads in a 1 hour duration, and I generate money from the ads from the brands. So that's something that we've done. Not just this from the inventory point of view. I think what we also did was started creating content along with the brands, which was very, very important for, it was a turning point for our platform. So what we did was, we said, let's start creating stories and let's ask the content creators to bring stories which can have brands embedded in them in a very seamless way. So you would have seen Netflix creating Quota Factory with, an Academy brand in it. Similar things we have done it on our platform, where we've got brands like Sprite, Center Fresh. These are all national players. ITC, Mangaldeep, where there is a scene of puja and Mangaldeep Agarbatti is being used. So very seamlessly we've created those brands to be part of the shows, so that people have that engagement with the brands, and a certain part of content is also taken care by the brand's money that we get in. So that's the strategy that we have followed. And today, from a subscription based model, I think we've pivoted. From a P&L point of view, the non-subscription revenue has started contributing 30 to 40% in the overall top line. So that's a big thing which we have done in the last 2 years.
Okay. So Nachiket, what about your experience from your days at all?
Yeah, I mean, those were days in the past, but I'm just getting back perspective of what we're doing. Because I think one view is that I want to be a very small, profitable shop and be very happy in India. That's one kind of thing that you can go. But the beauty of doing business in India is to have scale. So just to throw a few numbers, the broadcasting industry is 1,20,000 crore. 40,000 crore subscription, 80,000 crore ads put on it. 40,000 crore means 20,000 is back to the carriage subscribers, 20,000 crore goes to OTT. There also there's a 2:1 split. OTT, my guess across all the reviews done so far, $2 billion advertising, $1 billion subscription, the size of the industry. If you take YouTube into it, that will move to something like $2.7, $2.8 billion. In terms of pure potential, there is a straight 3:1 potential on advertising, point one. Point two, the biggest investment in content in digital today, which is the IPL is being given away free. That's 30,000 crores. You know, none of us sitting here have a business with a top line of 1,000 crores. So somebody's put 30,000, whatever that number is, 25,000 crores, just to give it away free today. So there's somebody doing some math, right? It's not like, you know, why not subscribe them? 25,000 crore dollar. So that guy said, yeah, give it away free. So my thing is, if you want a business of scale and you want to be really a big boy in India, you have to go advertising. Subscription can be a, you know, small shop here, 20% of your revenues, 30% of your revenues. But at some stage, that pivot is very important. And all the data points towards that. If you look at numbers of publicly declared companies, if you look at investments being made, people are giving things away free. Second guess is that post this IPL going free, the Indian consumer is going to say, why should I, if I'm getting the IPL free? Anything else? Means that's the biggest thing going on. So at least on the male TG or whatever, I don't know, you will have a better analysis of that. Definitely unko lat lagne wale ki free aa gaya. That is going to happen in the next 2-3 months. Therefore, looking forward, we have to prepare ourselves for two things. One is big investment play. Because small investment play, you will have a small shop somewhere, things will be fine. But if you're going into big investment play, you have to be able to put in definitely $1 billion straight up front in content. Otherwise, you're not on the table. Tum table se utha. Second thing, you have to be able to give it free and convince your stockholders that money is not coming back for a while. Yeah. If you're not doing both these two, then you can start a small shop somewhere. That's where I think the play is in terms of revenue models.
No, I totally agree. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I'm going to got this back on what the point was you trying to say. So we've all been in different businesses at different stages of our lives, and we've at some point of time known what scale is also, and we've also handled niche businesses and relatively profitable small businesses. You know, the difference in that era and this era is exactly what you're pointing out, that somebody is coming and using a completely different disruption model to gain access. Once upon a time, a lot of the broadcasters had control over access, right? Some of them, like Z had City Cable, something or the other was there where access was guaranteed. Now the access situation has already changed. None of the content creators actually have access. Geo, there goes the guy, right? So one, you already have lost the access battle. Yeah. Two, in terms of scale, the guy who's actually giving you access is now bundling. Amazon is bundling free delivery and 15 other things with it. So it's an access plus battle where Geo is getting a hammer and saying, here, the largest sporting event in the country is free. So in that milieu, if you were to actually expect that, the traditional ways of thinking, like, I will run my own shop, will survive, I'm not too sure. I would say it's an open question. In fact, if you remember way back in 2010-12, in the US, the rule kind of tried to get some sort of access back into play, right? Why are Star and Zee and Sony, for example, like my ex-company TV18, fighting each other? Actually, their common fight should be the Geos of the world, or the Metas of the world, or the Googles of the world, right? Because they've already taken the access pie away. So I'm saying that there has to be a different business model itself. And one of the hammers there is obviously capital, which maybe all 3-4 people coming together might actually give that sort of capital. That's kind of capital required if you want to be in the game, in a substantive something. So I think the innovation has to be in the business model first, where, like you said, there's a long runway in capital sort of returns and whatever, or it is alternate streams of revenue, like how G was managing it, right? So there has to be a larger scale disruption if this gang of content creators actually, the largest, whether you include the traditional broadcasters or even some of the new age ones, I would still call them content creators. If they have to survive and thrive, I think there has to be some major disruption in the business model in this game.
Yeah, so I mean, to again build off what Ajay is saying, is that I feel that 1,00,000 crore market size is very small for India. We think it's something great because we send several media circulars.
IT companies,
1,000 crore, is a very small size market cap. The real intersection of OTT possibly would be OTT and e-commerce, which in a way Amazon already is looking for.
Amazon Mini, right?
So whichever way they want to, I'm not sure what their strategy is.
Flipkart started the same thing.
But वो तो model देखोगे ना, उसका scale straight 6 lakh crore से चालू होता है. So that scaling is so tremendous there. So if you want to really say what do you want to do with the revenue model with OTT, yeah, I'll make content and say, and then I'll do LTV CAC ratios. Some smart MBA will work out the numbers. That's easy. But if you want to take that big leap, the intersection in ours is definitely retail and or whatever e-com and OTT, one possibility. gaming they're saying is big, but frankly, I have no vision on that. I've never worked in a gaming company. I've never seen it work as such. But people say that those intersections for an OTT revenue model are very good. AVOD, SVOD, I think is a done deal. AVOD is already one there, according to me.
Yeah.
That discussion should not be there. The next future is that now that you've got a lot of people wanting to watch your stars, can I sell soap on this? Or can I sell a car on this? Which is a huge, massively scaled market. And I think that's somewhere.
And the funding comes from the car or the soap.
Yeah,
The other car and your soap, which is the Amazon model. Ambesh, you've been waiting for a while. So you want to take it from what Nachiket. Nachiket, I think you raised it brilliantly. The change would obviously when you marry something like an e-commerce with content, and that will be the game changer. Till then, the numbers are obviously very finite. Not. I'll come back, Amit. So I'll just wrap up with
I think I agree with Nachiket here, because if we look at the history of broadcasting, it basically began first was the state-sponsored broadcasters, then Star Z, etc. came, and what did that serve as for the revenue, right? I mean, there's a very famous statement, I believe, by Samir Jain that we basically serve news between hands, and that practically still remains the model, whether it's anywhere, right? That's the crux of it. The way commerce is happening, or the way brands are reaching consumers, has changed today. Now that change is happening vis-a-vis, it's easy. If you look at what is the biggest disruption in the global digital ad pie, right? Meta's share, Google's share has been dramatically eaten up by Amazon, because that's the most effective form of advertising. And that precisely, as Nachiket rightly pointed out, is going to be the next future for Indian content space. Currently, what Jio has done, I think that they've practically eliminated the Google and FB, etc. targeted advertising fog, and they said, screw it, there's one property, 100 million people, a crore people at any given point in time are going to watch it, we'll serve it for free, we get the customer. They've acquired that customer. Now the larger question is, how do we start monetizing from those customers? And there are two ways. I think advertising, as he pointed out. One of the things that I would emphasize on, and we are a small platform, we operate at a scale of about 30 million MAU across 2-3 apps, and we serve comics, we serve literature, written content, etc. Largely user-generated content. What we've experienced is that consumers are willing to pay, and they are bottom of the pyramid customers. The question is, can we serve the right model to them? For example, we have micropayments. We have 1 rupee, open 1 new episode a day. That has worked tremendously well. Watch ads, accumulate rupees, gamification, that has worked tremendously well with us. Of course, we have also struggled with the recent funding crisis, so we also put everything now practically behind the paywall, but the success rate is fascinating. They're just about to be break even any month now. And I think one of the innovations still left to do in the OTT space is that of, I think, the creator-led monetization, because nobody really talks. It's still very the Jamindari system. The Jamindar Sahab owns the content, right, and the maker moves on. And we've seen, the biggest case is, of course, now Pathaan, where the creator said that there's a sentimental value, you have to watch it for me, and the numbers are out there in the public, right? So I think the creator-led monetization and micro-payments are two spaces where still there is some opportunity here, but otherwise it will be a subset of either, M&E will be a subset of either telco or e-commerce. That is for sure, because the pipe will be used for brands to reach consumers. Now that is a set thing. Like, this is not the core. The core is brand reaching the customer, and that will never change, at least in our lifetimes.
So, yeah, I couldn't agree more on the fact that the big game changer has to be outside of limiting yourself to what kind of pay or subscriber. It has to be on the back of telco or e-com. You want to elaborate on that? I think we'll take the last 5 minutes from each of you on the game changer. Television, if you were to look at numbers, whatever Nachiket said, another 2 years would go towards some 70,000-80,000 crores revenue. Digital is projected to some 55,000 crores. But the game changer of crossing that big number probably comes from marrying with e-com or telco, as you rightly said. So I leave that to start with you, Amit. What's your view on the game changer on how to get the numbers growing? Television, I mean, we've been in the industry for the longest time, but it's never been the big game. Like the entire industry, one big building in Bombay, South Bombay, is worth more than the entire television industry probably put together in terms of revenues. 30-40,000 crore एक बिल्डिंग में निकल जाता है वो तो बॉम्बे का साउथ बॉम्बे if you go to. So television is a big industry, is a small industry for big people Real estate is a big industry, generally the other way around. That's what they say. So what's the view on this one, Amit?
That one big building in South Bombay, that is worth more than most businesses in India.
Yeah.
That comparison. No, I think, look, if the question
No, but I was referring to e-commerce. Like if you look at e-commerce and if you look at telcos, then you're talking a different number altogether, right? So
look at e-com. If anyone is demonstrated it, it's Amazon. But we do have other e-com platforms in India who haven't been able to marry video and e-com together. I don't know what is going to be the cusp that's going to make this successful. I do know that consumers follow content, and there is going to be enough and more space, like we've seen in the linear world, for platforms offering good content to have a business model and run. The aggregation model will play a massive role going forward. The bundling model will play a massive role going forward. And the advertising model will play a massive role. So, from my point of view, this is really what's going to take center stage in the next few years.
Prashant.
I think Amit has already said pretty much hit the nail on the head. Yes, these are absolutely the business models that will definitely gain more traction going forward. I'm not so sure about the whole e-commerce and content coming together, simply because look at it from a customer's point of view. I don't think I'm watching content to get to know about brands, and I don't think I go to shop to get to know about content. So a successful model within that is yet to emerge. Even the people who have experimented have kind of scaled back. So I think that will take some time for somebody to find the right model there. I think the next big thing in India is going to be this huge mass of people who have come either online or have started consuming more content in the past few years because of the democratization of content that has happened on the internet. So where are they going to go, how they are going to go, and how will you capture those audiences? That's going to be the key. We talked about the IPL example. I think IPL prime example is that the biggest platform in India is YouTube. And for somebody who's used to consuming content on YouTube, how do you convince him to start watching IPL? Because you need those extra people, because Star had already done a pretty good job in getting all the paid and all the TV audiences onto IPL. So how do you get more people to start consuming it, get those people who are watching all the content for free today? So yes, there's a lot that can be done there. There are fast channels emerging in other parts of the world. Probably that might be one of the big revolutions in India going forward. So I think that's where a lot of traction is going to happen in the time.
Amit.
Yeah. So what I really feel is that what Jio is doing with IPL, and people are saying that, as Nachiket said, that 25,000 crores has been put in a way to just give content free. I think Hotstar also initially given IPL free for a couple of years, and then he started monetizing it. I look at things very differently. Why? Because I feel Jio is someone who is increasing the pie, is someone who is enabling the market, is someone who is helping consumer know what is OTT. Because I feel if you go 2 years back, no broadband provider in the country was bundling content with his broadband. I think he was the pioneer to do this. And then everybody followed, Airtel followed, Tata followed, everybody followed. So I see that and when you said that how commerce can get into the play, I feel the only game changing in the OTT industry can ever happen is that if somebody can crack a distribution. And what I feel from the Playbox TV perspective is that distribution can only be cracked. So OTT is like Kaju Katri. It has to get, it is that small sweet which in your life which gives you that peace ki boss, I want to watch this particular content, and it has to get bundled with every second thing. So we are working with one of the leading bank in the country where once you open an account you get a subscription free. So I think that is the game changing distribution. Who will crack distribution is the only way everyone will make money and everyone will be happy.
Sorry, just
Why would a Jio not be your client?
Jio is, can you repeat?
Why would a Jio, because you're working with a huge chunk of ISPs, right? But the Jios of the world will not be working with you, right? What's the logic?
No, the Jios of the world will not be working with us because
Their volumes are higher, their economies of scale would be much better in terms of negotiating with OTT platforms.
yeah, maybe in that way they can work with us, but the partners which we are working is also competing with them on the ground.
Right.
Yeah. So for those reasons, maybe they won't work because our partners doesn't want their content to get promoted on the platform, right?
Fair point. Fair point. Ambesh, Tiwari, your view?
Yeah. So I think two parts to the answer. I think one is looking at content as a commodity. So that I've already mentioned that there is still a long way to go because as my friend here also pointed out rightly that people, if you put out the right kind of content, people will still go and subscribe. We've all done that. So that's one part of it, and the different models, whether it's micropayments, whether it's bundling it with some other content pieces, gamification, whether you show ads, create your own inner currencies, etc. So that's one part to it. The other, of course, remains the e-commerce play or the telco play, where you are the pipeline, where these brands are acquiring customers via you. And I think that will continue to be at the center stage, at least for the next coming few years. The big risk, although still always remains in these businesses, IPL yesterday with Hotstar, tomorrow with Jio, who knows when with Airtel. The same thing, he would, being a broadcast veteran, know that today a certain producer is making a show with Star Plus, tomorrow they move to Z, and ratings start dancing to their tune. So platform and creator, so the creator loyalty with platform is also something which I think not a lot of platforms are currently working on, and we saw that with TikTok dismissed and then suddenly spread everywhere, and the consumers were everywhere. So consumers do follow creators, and I think that is one of the most let's say underappreciated or not really worked upon part of the platform business, and that will help the e-com play for sure.
I mean, I've already put my hat on AVOD, but I just want to add a small piece. I think this way of thinking of TV versus digital is going to be thrown out of the window because of connected TV. What we don't realize is while we are sitting here, nearly every year 10 to 15% of not connected television is becoming connected. Not only for these HD type flat screens, I've seen demos where analog TV they're putting Chromecast like solutions, Chinese made solutions.
90% of all new TVs which are bought are connected TV. So anyway, that's all dying.
So therefore, this thing of talking of the device as a way to define the industry is a thing that will be a thing of the past very fast. You got the data also for it. So the idea again, and we don't have enough time now, but again I feel that this is a country of free. Telco has grown here because 1 GB was given free by Jio. नहीं तो ये कुछ revolution नहीं होता. Internet is cheapest here. This is a country of free or near free. If you look at post-paid economics, 1 rupee a day is probably what people will spend on everything that you want to. 365 रुपए साल. उसके ऊपर सब के लिए. That is the sweet point I feel to hit the market, and with connected TV coming in and mobile phones, I feel the game to go to a very low cost and near free model with huge advertising spends. Now we are also the most populous country in the world, so I think that's adding to this advertising thing. Is where I'd put my money if I had $1 billion to invest in.
So connected TV currently are about almost 20 million broadly, and estimates say that to reach the numbers of cable and satellite, not direct comparison, it's still going to take about half a decade or so, because people won't dump their old sets. But the old sets would become smart by adding a device to it, which is what they're all doing. Fair point. Nitin, what do you have to add to that?
Yes, I think India as a market is a huge market. You'll always have, every pie, you'll always have people for that, because as we said, we are the most populous. So one particular model, AVOD or SVOD will never work. There'll always be a niche customer who's ready to pay to watch content ad free. And content, of course, as somebody mentioned, is going to be of prime importance. Today, Hotstar suffered because HBO moved out, right? And Jio acquired HBO content. People subscribe to Hotstar to watch Game of Thrones. Similarly, for a platform like ours, regional platform, we see spikes when we release a new, content every Friday. We see spikes of subscriptions. So definitely, subscriptions are related to the kind of quality of content. So for creators out there, it is very important for the quality of content to be at at the best level, because today people are exposed to even the international content pieces. So that's going to be there. From monetization point of view, I think ads is going to play the biggest role. How we take our customers, the brands to the customers, is what we need to look at. And the platforms, since you already have a pie of consumers, loyal consumers, I think it's more and more different ways of reaching out to new customers. If we are able to provide to the brands, I think the brand's money will keep flowing.
Sorry, Nachiket, you want to add to that? You're nodding. Okay, Ajay, what's your view?
To add something.
Yes, please do that.
The real disruption is not going to happen alone on software. It's going to happen on software and hardware. With Jio also came the Xiaomi and the Vivos of the world. If they didn't come, then Jio wouldn't have been the way we consume today. So I think the smart TV and those devices will change quite a lot. And I think the next revolution will be, has to be a hardware and software revolution.
Fair point. Ajay.
The question was about what's the game changing behind it, right?
Yeah.
So I think game changing for who? I was just thinking about that. Like the tech end and the telco end are already changing their game and changing the media game, right? So for them, it's probably a path they've already taken. For the content creators and the talent, they are getting multiple platforms to access, right? So if I were to pin down one idea or one thought for game changer and for who, like I think we had almost 100 crore people being served by the television stroke, allied business in terms of programming, creation of content. So if you look at the content creating industry as such, its game is a little questionable right now, right? So that's where I think the real disruption needs to happen from an access perspective. So if you could actually do something, whether we're coming together or having some sort of an alternative model to gain control of a substantial part of access, without obviously depending purely on the e-com player or the telco player. That could be a game changer, because actually these are erstwhile television. In fact, a lot of us sitting here have lost that power of access to tech stroke, e-com stroke, UGC platforms. I don't have a clear answer, but I think if there is a game changer, it would be to try for this setup, which is actually fairly, which is the 80,000 crores to 1 lakh crores of the original business, including Bollywood, if you look at. That's, I think, waiting for somebody to rescue it from its imminent sort of dependence on hardware, e-com, or whatever else. That is what I'm, or aggregation.
As you said, that dependency on tech or something, even MX used to feel is the 4th largest tech in the country. So I think, as you said, the 80,000 or 1 lakh, whatever money is, how credible is that consumer is? See, because TV...
I'm not up to the number, don't get me wrong. So I'm talking about the content creators ecosystem. It is actually still, whatever said and done, whether it is criminal justice you're watching or क्योंकि सास भी बेचारा कोई बना रहा है ना, वो उसका कुछ हो नहीं रहा है. Let's be, or Discovery, lovely stuff that they're making, or Lionsgate shows. So at a point of time when all of us are individually, contributing to this ecosystem, the access is actually what is taken away. Like you probably are better off than anybody else at the table because you're able to aggregate and give it out in a new distribution disruption model.
Exactly as you said, it has become platform agnostic. If I want to watch criminal justice, I will go, irrespective of everything, I will go and watch it.
How will that happen is what I'm saying.
The next billion is coming from here.
So fantastic, thank you guys. I think we had a fantastic session. It seems to be a very learned set of 7 gentlemen, if I may include myself in it. Right? So it's a house full. Anyone has any questions, or we'll just wrap it up. The game changer obviously comes from some kind of, you have a question there, so pass you my mic.
Yeah, hello. I just want to ask one question, maybe it's answered. So for brands and corporates to target, do a macro targeting for consumers or hyper-personalization, which will be the best medium going forward for the next 3 years or 5 years? You want to rephrase the question?
If you could do that, please.
Yeah, so for a brand like maybe Maruti or Pepsi to target the consumers, say hyper-personalization, what would be the best medium, OTT,
these connected TV model, what would be the best platform to go in future?
Platform to go, I'm sure Amit Dhanuka is going to say Lionsgate. I completely agree. So, but again, it's subjective of whom you're asking that question. So
It's for the board. It's for the board.
So I think
let's get a neutral party to answer that.
brands, there'll never be one particular platform. There'll always be a mix that they'll look at. You know, if they want to reach out to consumers, they'll use on-ground activations, which is media. They'll also use OTTs, digital influencers like creators today. That's why influencers are becoming bigger, right? So they have followers, that's why they're using them to reach out to these consumers. So they'll always use a mix. We'll always see print ads. कोविड में लोगों ने बोला कि print खत्म हो जाएगा. जैसे ही कोविड खत्म हुआ, print वापस has started rising, right? So I think there'll always be a mix of the overall, mediums which are available to reaching out to the consumers.
That's a good point. Print, I think you've raised, very interesting. If you go back logically thinking, print, I mean, you're burning trees, producing paper, logistics is a nightmare, and still moving paper from one point to another. You get the current news now on your phone. Why would you take that paper to the washroom? Right? But people still do that. Not because precisely, right? So, so again, it's a myth of why print still survives. Print is still a huge dominant player. So I think what Nitin says makes sense, right? All, there will be a combination of all, but then Lionsgate, of course, right? I mean,
absolutely. So Lionsgate first. But just to answer your question, I think what VOD really does allows you to break your audience set that you want to reach out to and target them a lot better. Whether you want to do it between telephones and mobiles, whether you want to do it between metros, small towns, towns with a certain population size, habits, what kind of content they're watching. A lot of this VOD does offer you in terms of targeting your audiences and going out, which maybe some of the other mediums might not be able to offer. They are more carpet bombing. You could still say that, hey, I might go to a publication that's coming out only in metros, but again, within metros, it might be tricky to target. But VOD does allow you that level of personalization. Might not be a complete science in today's day, but it is getting.
I hope that answers your question, sir. But Lionsgate. Yeah. Anything else? Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for a lovely session. Thank you, Amit. There's a question, I think, from some gentleman there. Yeah. So we'll take the last question and then we'll quickly wrap up. Right in the end there. Even if you scream, we won't hear you. So you need a mic.
I'd like to add a follow-up to your answer of the question. That in your previous question you had asked that what could be a breakthrough for you. So I'd like to say that it could be IoT device, that could be smart glass, which I'm working on.
Son, can you introduce yourself? What's your name again?
Hi. So I'm Swaya. My name is Swaya. And I'm innovating smart travel classes. I'm building 7 such categories. But from this event, I only tell entertainment basically.
Wow.
In this
That's great.
event.
That's great. Let's get a clapping for him at least. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. We will do it. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Praveen, Aamir, Ambesh, Nachiket, Nitin, Ajay. Thank you, gentlemen, for a lovely session. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Chaudhary.